good.
Well, hey, thanks for that answer. I feel like that actually really helped me understand. So, besides Coil, are there any like electronic artists that have been an inspiration for you?
Um, Certainly, Coil sort of jumped me on the path of. I mean, I like all kinds of music, I guess, really, but it grows and grows as it does. But electronic stuff, in the '90s, especially, I got into Skinny Puppy and Front 242, Frontline Assembly, things like that. I really liked Skinny Puppy in particular, um, and that stayed with me. I think sometimes I don't know what it is because music, just especially all music, but electronic, it's ever there's always you think you've heard the craziest, and something else kicks in. But I guess sometimes in my head I get stuck in a particular era or time, and you just do interpret it your way. Um, and as the years rolled on, I mean, Square Pusher came to mind recently, a few years ago. I found them interesting in Aphex Twin because they're just the beats. They're the beats that were just kind of rolling out, which I'm not anything particular. I mean, I almost feel like I'm a bit of a latecomer in some ways, but there's always something coming out that's I find really interesting. And but Coil kickstarted it for sure. Skinny Puppy, I loved a lot, and still do, of course. Um, and then you miss the boat on some acts for a few years, and then all of a sudden you come across them and go, where's this band been for years?
Yes.
Why didn't I? How's it taking me like 10 years to find this band? And so one of your friends going, "Oh, I thought you knew about them." I'm like, "No, why didn't you tell me?" And it's always a good discovering journey. I mean, people sometimes say, "Oh, there's not too much out there," but there's loads of stuff out there.
Well, there's one thing we know. There's so much out there.
It's endless with the creativity, which is good.
Well, it is good, and I couldn't agree more. I am such a latecomer to great music. I'm a latecomer to trends, which I've found is so interesting because I'll find stuff years later that I thought, where was I during this? Why did no one tell me? And also, like, this is exactly what I need right now,
Well, I
right?
think sometimes that's what it is, though. Sometimes it doesn't drop on into your lap until you need it. Perhaps I don't know. You know, uh, it's very much that, I think. The right time, the right moment, really. I mean, I spent years and years talking about certain projects that I'd always wanted to do to my friends, and go, "Oh, here he goes. He's talking again about this thing he's never going to do." But then lately, I've been hooking up with a few musicians who've been telling me, "Well, I'd like to do this project." I'm like, "Well, that's exactly what I would have wanted to do," but I've not met anyone who has said exactly almost the same thing as I have. Sometimes it's premonition. I don't know. You're like, oh, you think about it hard enough, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's like manifestation, isn't it? A little bit. I don't know.
Yes. Oh, 100%. I think it's all about what you're putting out there, even if it's mentally. You're probably moving in a direction where you could attract something that you didn't even know that you really needed.
No, I think you. I mean, that's something about thinking about, and I just can't. And I do a lot of the time. It's constantly in the head of like, well, I need to do this. I have to do this. And can be frustrating for other people who are like, just switch off. I'm trying, but no, it's very difficult. You know.
It is, I can only imagine how it is, and okay, great. Well, I want to ask you too about the 2024 album, Vitriol. I wanted to ask about the Vincent key to Vincent, which is he conquers who conquers himself,
Yeah.
translated. And to me, that takeaway was kind of about self-discipline and mastery and mastering things. And I wanted to ask, like, how have those themes affected you in your work, like self-discipline and mastery?
Well, all those tracks on that record had been released in earlier albums, so it's a compilation album. And I call it the first four albums. That's one of them. the sort of maze quadrilogy, I guess. But yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, making those records, um, it was difficult in the fact of I was scared to go into that kind of music in a way. I'd always wanted to play it or make it, but I had a lot of self doubt and kind of still do really. And so it's having the confidence to overcome that and go, well, this is okay to maybe let someone else hear it. I mean, one of my close friends sometimes says, well, creativity needs no audience. And that's true to an extent, but then sometimes it's always nice when someone goes, well, that's okay, that's pretty cool. So it's trying to balance that up. But yeah, like anyone in life, you have those ups and downs, and certainly for me, I've been battling a little bit with like who I really am, or who's the authentic, the real me. So that title also referred a bit to that in a way, where it's sort of like it's almost it's saying, well, I have what I feel parts of me I'm not happy with, and where do they go? They'll put. I mean, it's Jung talks about an individuation process where you kind of disembody and break apart, and you have a chance to sort of pick up the pieces that you think reflect who you are. It's embracing the light and the dark and stuff like that. So it's the conquering is almost, I suppose. Do you ever conquer? I don't know if you ever really truly conquer, but it's a case of can you be the best version of yourself, really,
Exactly.
or the best version you can be, rather. Yeah.
I think that alone is a sense of mastery, is it not? I mean, almost like picking up those broken pieces, and what newness comes out of that is in a way mastery and has required some form of discipline with the self. And I think me growing up personally, I had so many like negative thoughts about discipline, but how I've applied it to my life has completely changed it for the better. It helps me streamline my thoughts, especially when I'm having a hard time getting an idea out. Sometimes I just write it down, but it really helps me to just set aside 3 to 4 hours, whatever it be, let my ideas flow, and then come back and edit and come back and kind of in a disciplined way. That's how I get things done. So I really related to the direct translation of that song. He conquers who conquers himself.
Well, I mean, discipline is it's a key thing. It's I mean, I've always lacked discipline in most of my life with various things, and it's trying to fine tune that more now. I mean, lifting my own devices, I could sit in front of a synthesizer or a laptop all day, but of course, I have other things that I've got to try and do as well, and that's a struggle sometimes. But just simple things like trying to be a little bit healthier or whatever, things like that is requires time. So yeah, it's and knowing when to not say the wrong thing is difficult. But yeah, it's you never stop learning, or you try to learn at least. I think.
Yes. Well, and keeping an open mindset, being adventurous and experimental. I mean, that has only helped me grow in my 30 years of life. And I aspire to continue doing that. So thanks for the reminder, Shane.
It's we never stop. I mean, that's for sure. Yeah, never stop. Yeah.
Never. Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah.
Well, great. So earlier you told me about loops in music. What is it? Is it the idea of looping that helps you create? Is it something that you can relate to? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Um, I think certainly with Coil, or I think even from a very early age, I was always. I mean, I'm not the only one, obviously, but always attracted to attracted to sounds. I think probably didn't even realize it at the times, but growing up in this early 70s, disco was around, that kind of stuff. I got into like the hard rock thing in England, but I loved horror movies and sci-fi movies and sci-fi programs, and the music's pretty out there. So especially with the sci-fi stuff, I would record that stuff. on the tape recorder, and then my friends would be playing the Bee Gees, and I'm like, well, that's okay, but listen to this. And it'd be like some music from Forbidden Planet, which of course, what the hell's going on here, And so I think that's where it began. But certainly with Dark Sky, when I started doing not even just doing the albums, but prior to that, I'd be on the tour bus, kind of like before I worked out exactly what I wanted to get, synthesizer wise or sound library wise. I only had GarageBand, so I would just work on just small loops of music, and I'd layer them there. And a lot of the stuff I'm still finding there, which I haven't really used. And then I'd what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but I'd make it improve on that into fully fledged songs, so to speak. But I tend to get into a trance when I get into loops, and even I can record something, and then I'll put it away. Then I'll find it a week or two later, and I'll play it again. And within 10 seconds, I start drifting into some sort of I don't know. It is well, it's trance basically. And again, my friend Carl said you're almost some sort of shaman, he likes to say. Because the pieces of music, and I'm not the only person. I find pieces of music where I have no recollection of doing at all. I can't remember doing it. And then one piece, there's a track on. I have an album called "And the Moon," and the moon will rise from my darkness.
I love that album. Just so you know,
that particular track, I had a memory that I'd composed this all started to. But I'm like, where is that? Did I actually do it or did I dream it? And I found it. I'm like, well, there it is. And I played it. And actually, I had a tear in my eye. I'm like, God, I wasn't imagining this. I actually did it. And I was like, wow. And but I kind of could. And this has happened a few times where I find these pieces of music and I'm like, oh, what was going on? But then I go, well, what was going on with me, to do this and not remember it? And then, but it induces the same feeling. And my friend Carl talks about, I think creatives, we can kind of have these emotions that sometimes we don't actually quite deal with, where we annex them into like art or pieces of music, and sometimes it can then the listener might get that emotion and you're putting that emotion somewhere else instead of actually dealing with it yourself. This is part of the psychology, I guess, I think I was kind of getting into with him, I suppose. And it kind of made sense to me that I was like channeling these things, these emotions into these tracks. And but certainly there's something about loops, just simple sounds that just kind of evolve. I tend to get into this kind of this trance, which I find quite relieving in a way. I mean, sometimes I've had to try going to the gym and stuff like that to try and get a bit healthier. I'm like, God, in the gym again. So you go to the gym, you do it, yeah, you feel okay, but generally a nice good loop of sound is going to make me feel a damn sight better than the gym, in my opinion.
yes,
the gym is necessary, I understand, but it's not it's terrible music in the gym, which drives me crazy. Well, some of it's okay, but I'm gonna benefit more from just sitting there. And I don't do it. I mean, I'm not. There's far better musicians than me, but I like to put my fingers in a similar place on the keyboard, find some bizarre sound, and off it goes. Start drifting, and then if it's it works for me.
I think that's absolutely amazing that you've been able to basically like summarize that experience, because I think looping and patterns are so prevalent in our everyday life that there are certain songs that I listen to that 5 minutes of this 13-minute song go by and I realize for the last 5 minutes I've been in a trance. And this could be music I've never listened to before, like God, I'm trying to think. It was this like French post-punk band that I just learned about recently that I think they were popular in the 80s and the 90s. I'll try to remember the name later, but they had one of those songs where I was just in the music and I had never heard it before. And I just thought I needed that. I needed 5 minutes to just be with myself and be with this music. And the relief that you get from a trance state is not something that's always easy to summarize. So I genuinely think it's amazing that you've been able to do that and also share that emotion in your music, especially if you've dreamed about it and created it. I think that is a very shamanistic quality. It's pretty cool.
Well, it means something. It means, it means at this point, I suppose it means at this point in my life, I'm hopefully on the right path. There's these things that are happening. Symbols. I'm obsessed with symbols. A symbol will pop up. I'm like, what is that? And I'm off. And then, but music, especially if it draws you in, makes you feel a certain way. And I don't know, sometimes it can give you a sense of positivity that wasn't there perhaps 5 minutes earlier, and you go, oh, wow. Well, it snaps you out of like feeling whatever way, and life isn't as bad as maybe it felt an hour ago. And it's not really, it's just that also you sort of like trying to deal with all these emotions that life's all of that, you see. I think, and what I'm learning is that, the good with the bad, and it's not all about, we can't walk around with a smile on our face 24/7. And then if you're feeling a bit down, well, let's try and look at what that is and deal with that consciously, as opposed to like maybe grabbing a beer, which was always my thing on tour, especially,
Yes.
and hiding away from it really. When I was younger, it was like, oh, it was great, when the guys moved over here and joined Napalm, we were out every other night drinking. Because in the 90s, Jane's Addiction would be playing Smashing Pumpkins, not Skinny Puppy, Faith, no, whoever, all these bands we were seeing every other day, and it was great. Then fast forward 25 years and you're a bit older, and you're like, oh,
Yes.
life hits you a bit harder. So, yeah, it's great to be pulled. I enjoy getting into a trance with music. It's very, very therapeutic for me.
I think that's exactly why I've taken on this adventure of being a radio DJ, because since I was a young kid, I remember being 9 years old and having my first, I was younger than 9, but the first time I had a stereo with a radio and a CD player in it connected me to my city. And since I've been 9 years old, I knew that I wanted to connect with people on music. And throughout my life, radio has been the thing that has always helped me tune in to these new ideas. I learned about alternative programming probably when I was 13, so like 4 years later. And then I realized, oh my God, I can play that kind of music on the radio after hours. It's something that always stuck with me. So now that I'm further along and I've been doing this for about a year and a half, like officially, I got to tell you, Shane, like it's this thing that just keeps giving back. So it's really cool. I think that your team was able to connect with me because I just started interviewing artists in the last year. So this is like it's pretty powerful to me. And I think there's a lot to be said about putting out your feelings and getting something back, you know?
That's great. I mean, that is good. I mean, it is sort of, it is kind of, it's exactly what I'm trying to say. I mean, you can have those times in the day where it's just not, I don't know, you're just in a particular, not a positive way. And by connecting with someone who likes what you like or something, or you do some music you haven't heard before, it can brighten you up. So that's what music and art does as well, visually as well. You can look at stuff and go, so you see something and go, well, that's really positive. It can cause a distraction from the here and now of whatever might be making you feel a bit not positive. So if it brings you out of that, reality is like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction always said that one thing: if reality was so cool, why do we spend so much time not trying to run away from it? I think he might have been referring to other things, perhaps. But that I always go, well, yeah, you got to sit here with it and now, but it's a nice escape pod every now and then is good.
Yeah, some healthy escapism in order to come back to yourself. I highly recommend that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, okay. So without giving too much away, what projects are you looking forward to working on now?
Well, funny, strange enough, I have an album it's been sitting around for about 2 years now. Strange enough, I don't know quite know what to do with it. Um, which is electronic based. I don't know what I'm going to call it really yet. I wouldn't say it's too light-hearted to be a Dark Sky Bear album. It's not really at all. But I'm not sure if it's that. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but that's their waiting to do something with. I mean, Cananos was a track from that album, which I wanted to put on this album because it didn't feel that was a little dark. I don't know. I can't even find the right words. The other album is again symbolic and Jungian and talks about a lot of the things that have been going on for me. But it didn't seem. I don't know. Maybe it will be a Dark Sky Bear album. I don't know. I don't know. I'm constantly messing around my head half the time. But I've started demoing some stuff for the next Dark Sky album, which is going to be part of another. They're all in sets of fours. I've just think mostly in sets of fours. I've got a thing about four for some reason. I don't know why I have, but so that's going to be something more. Hopefully, as a band, but it's very electronic, but also guitar based. And so I've just finished some demos of that. I'm going to send over to a really well-known drummer. I'm not going to say who he is yet, and hopefully he'll say yes and play on it, which would be good. And then going to start demoing. I've been demoing some Napalm Death stuff. We're sort of way overdue, in my opinion, for an album. There's been so much touring going on, which is understandable. But I've been kind of like been going crazy to do an Napalm record. I've got loads and loads of riffs and ideas. But the main guy, Russ Russell, who's been working with us for 20 years, he's been quite ill too.
Oh,
so he's been getting better, and I think we're about ready to. I'm going to start working with him again, which is good. But I've been meeting some very interesting people the past couple of years. I was involved. There's a documentary on a space mission called the Cluster Mission, which finished finally last year. So I've been hanging out with some scientists at the European Space Agency in Holland. One of them is a Napalm Death fan, and through those guys, I contributed a small piece of experimental music with a guy called Klaus, who he took sonifications from the 4 satellites. I can't even explain how he did it, and then took that data and then converted it into MIDI, where we then modulated some of the synths that I had, and we made some music from this. And it's a small piece that's included on this documentary called Siege of the Sun, which I'm not sure how it's going to be. I think there's a website for it already. I saw it last week, and so that's going to further develop, I hope, into like more experimentation at science meetings and things. So there's all kinds of weird stuff going on, which I don't feel I have the vocabulary to probably express correctly. So yeah, it's this these past few years are taking me in directions which I like, which don't know what's going on. And I like that.
yes, that's like the most important part.
It's a bit scary, but then you go, well, I like this because the other way is, I know that way. I kind of want something a bit unexpected.
Well, of course, and isn't that like the whole important part is that you don't really know where it's going to go. You just know that you're going until you're not going, right?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's doing. We just don't know, do we? I mean, life is what it is to try and have that adventure. That a bit of Joseph Campbell myth vibe going on there. The myth.
Yes.
We're all living myths, aren't we? Our own personal myth. I guess is that the right way? I might got that wrong. I don't know, but we're creating our own story. I think is the thing, really. That's what it is.
Well, I want to ask you in our last several minutes here. This might seem like such an obvious answer, but it's something that I don't think enough people, especially in our technological age of music streaming, I don't think a lot of people think about this. So I want to know from you, Shane, should we purchase music directly from the artists when possible?
I think you should, um, if you can. It is important. Um, the streaming things I mean, it's very easy to get to some of the bigger companies. I mean, lately, especially with their involvement in certain practices, I can't be comfortable with that, really. So
No.
that's raising a lot of questions for me, and for Napalm Death too, which I'll be discussing with our singer. But we shall see where we go with that, with the label of that stuff. But I think you should. I mean, it's I think there's something quite good about doing that. Really, when you do it, you feel a bit better. I went to on my birthday last week. I think a week before. There's a couple of a band called Gong, psychedelic band, and they've been around forever. But my friend is now the front man of them, and we're good friends, and we're probably going to work together. But I'm going to buy a T-shirt. Of course, I'm going to buy a T-shirt.
Of course.
And the support band had some excellent comic books. I bought their comic books because I liked it. I thought it was quite neat to have a comic book. But and I think you should. It's the it helping them do their thing. And it's important to them. And I appreciate it beyond. I mean, last week you did the Bandcamp thing, and I never knew you could do this, but you can do there's a band called Nurse with Wound, which I really like. Not a band, but artists, and they've got like been around forever. Amazing kind of experimental stuff with Current 93 Core, but they have like you can buy the entire discography for like something like $400. They've got millions of albums. But I thought that's great. So I tried the same thing. You get like a discount on your Bandcamp. And occasionally, some kind person will just buy all of your Dark Sky records, and I'll get this little ding, and I'll go, "Oh, look at that! Someone's just bought the whole thing." And yeah, the 65 quid's nice. That's lovely, of course. That's gonna, with kids, it'll come and go very quickly.
Yes.
But it's more the fact that someone was that impressed with what you did to go, "I really like this." I was like, "Wow, that's very fulfilling for me that someone actually liked it enough to go." That's the sort of credit thing I do. I'm like, well, this is amazing. I need this. So when someone does that for you, that's really special. So yeah, I think it's good to support, really.
I think it is too, because it allows you to show support to that artist. It directly supports them and it helps them continue the longevity of their craft, however that may go. And I think it's invaluable. It's really important. It's great to hear that from another artist, really. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just one. It's sometimes again it changes your day. You can think, "Oh, well, what's the point?" And then someone does that, and you go, "Oh, there is a point." Just that one.
Oh yeah, a reminder, right?
They like that stuff. That means and then it gives you that kick, and that's what you need sometimes.
Yes, because again, you could be a creative and be in your own world and put those things out. But when it also reaches somebody else, I think that is a connection that is not it's not something to be overlooked. And I think it's important to directly support an artist. So it's completely helped me connect to the music. I got rid of several of my streaming platforms in the last couple of years just to, I don't know, to reconnect with physical media because I think that's kind of where I'm headed. And I think it's allowed me to remember, retain, and appreciate the music in a way because it's not about the accessibility. It's about, for me, the connection to the music. So I think directly supporting an artist is very valuable.
I think so too. Definitely is. Yeah.
Well, hey Shane, can you tell us when does your Dark Sky Burial tour begin?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be touring, but I'll probably have a couple of shows next year. I don't really know. There's loads of it's a strange one, really. I did a few shows with the Melvins when Napalm toured this year, and that was good. Um, and sometimes I did a couple. I haven't done too many shows. I mean, there'll probably be a couple of three next year, but not like a tour, really.
Okay.
Not yet. I mean, I kind of feel I'm building up towards that. I mean, I like the idea of doing stuff on my own, but I think that's probably why I'm moving the next Dark Sky Records into something that still is Dark Sky Burial, but it can be performed. A few of my friends, guitarists and experimental artists, so I kind of want to collect them together so we can play together, and bring elements from the earlier albums in, but have something that's more visual and stuff like that. Really, I think that's
That
where I've
would
been going that way.
that would be incredible with that music. It'd be so cool to have a multi a multi creative show. So I guess I just wanted to ask to see if you guys would ever tour or do shows. That's
I
awesome.
think I think it's on the horizon. I mean, I'm 58 now. It's a goddamn shame I wasn't 38. But there we go. I'm just trying to make up for lost time. Really, it's going to go into that territory. I just think I've been laying the groundwork in my head for like the past 6 years, and it's getting there. I mean, it's like these albums I talk about doing. I've had the album covers for about 4 years. They're just sitting there, and my friend painted them for me in a concept. I'm like, well, I haven't now got to do that, and that's why I'm like a complete nutcase in a good way, I suppose.
Yes, the neurosis is firing away, and I'm so happy to hear it. I'm happy to see it. And I guess if I may ask you one more question, um, could you describe for us an unforgettable tour experience for you?
Oh, God, it depends. I mean, I suppose the obvious one is just probably the first time Napalm Death played in Chile in 1997 in Santiago,
How was that?
because we played some pretty big crowds, but that was about 5,000 people that particular show, and they kind of Napalm Death isn't the most obvious band you think about when people sing along with your songs, so they were kind of singing with us, which was first, and then to see 5,000 people jump up and down, and so the building's quite old, so the floor is shaking, like that. So that was there. That's very interesting to for that to happen. It was like, wow, because Napalm with this kind of grindcore punk band, and we're trying to be cool about stuff, but it's going to put a smile on you. It's going to put a smile on my face because I kind of grew up listening to Ozzy and Sabbath and stuff, so I jumped into my punk rock stuff, and that's at that particular time in the '80s. You try to play down that kind of, I don't know what you want to call it. You're not meant to be. You're not meant to be wave the bag, the flag that, I've made it, sort of thing. But
Right.
you did feel like you. I'm like, my way, because I come from a very tiny village to be doing that, and I was like, well, I never would have expected that kind of journey. I'd hoped, but I never expected it.
Well, that music is such a release, and I feel like with you being such a long-standing member, like that specific genre and Napalm Death has if influenced and touched so many artists. It's something that I hear people talk about all the time. I live with a bunch of grindcore fans in my cooperative house, and I think it's music that really broke a barrier and it reaches people no matter what language they speak. It's a feeling, especially punk. It is such a release. So I'm glad people were jumping and making the floor about to cave in. I think that's great.
Oh, was it? Yeah. I mean, the whole tour was insane because I think it was the first time we'd ever been that kind of band had ever been to South America. So it was, there was some mad tales for sure. Yeah.
Well, you have certainly inspired me to do some homework after our interview. I know I definitely want to check out your life memoir, and I would love to support that. It seems really interesting to me. So
Yeah, the book. Yeah, I did an audio version the other day, which was interesting. I was trying to speak as slow as I could. So
when does the audio version come out? Do you
I'm not
know?
sure exactly when it's going to be soon. I think so. That's going to be.
Damn. Okay. I will wait. I will wait for that one. I think I appreciate the audio version of a biography very much.
That was tricky because you're reading for a while, but then then after a bit you start. My friend, we were the studio. He was like, "Well, I can tell you're getting tired now. You have to rest." I think I'd be able to do it because sometimes I used to love reading and I still do, but something about any more than 10 minutes, I start snoozing off. I'm just getting old, And so I was like, I'm going to be able to read this thing, but I managed to get through it. So
Well, of course, when your eyes are moving but your head isn't moving, it relaxes your body, and it's just like watching an aquarium full of fish. That could put me to sleep. I totally get it.
yeah. But so yeah, then Yeah, that's something I never thought really. A book. It's quite interesting to do one. And there we are. Yeah.
Here we are today. Here we are now. And Shane, I want to say thank you so much, man. This has been a really awesome chat. It went in lots of directions that I was hopeful for and ones that I wasn't expecting. And I'll definitely be spinning the Dark Sky Burial on my show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. And I want to wish you good luck and success with everything, the cats, the family, your kids, these upcoming projects. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you do moving forward. I think you're on your path, man. You're moving forward.
Thank you. Thanks, one.